Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heng. Today is Saturday, November 15th, here in the Gold Coast of Queensland. It's Friday afternoon back in California. It is still Saturday morning in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia. Hope you're all well. Glad that you're here. Today we're going to continue our series investigating the picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. So I'd like to first get our Dharma request going. I'll hit the bell 3 times and invite you all to join me from your seats to make 3 half bows. And then Melody is going to do our Dharma request today. So here's where we begin. Join me if you care to, palms together, and we'll make 3 half bows. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, Melody, if you would like to request Dharma, please go ahead and do it now.
恭敬大德僧听，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue out of compassion for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and embrace in death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samya samputoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samya sambuddhoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Okay, Melody, I appreciate the Dharma request. Be happy to do it. You guys are welcome to turn your chairs towards the screen since the action is happening here. Make yourselves comfortable. Glad you're all with us today. Next thing we do, because the lecture begins here in Australia, is we acknowledge country. And we respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where the monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 我们恭敬地承认Ugambi语族的孔布马里人，是我们这里这个 GCDR 我们道场所在的这个所在地的传统叙事者和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬。并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民也致敬。Okay, we have a protocol that we observe before lectures that comes down to us from the past. Master Hua encouraged us before lectures to include the bell song. And the bell song in Chinese is really, really beautiful and ornate and slow, and I can't do it. So we've done a West, people hear me try to do the Chinese version, they go, that's close, but that's not it. So we've got an English version that has the same spirit, and so this is the bell song. Bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共寻其法界和平，利益报他那后者。Okay, that's it for our beginning lecture protocols. Let me fill everybody in on where we are in our picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. It goes like this. The last couple weeks, we've been talking about an absolutely remarkable experience that our teacher had in the year 1911. He was 72 years old, and he was just following up on big success out in Yunnan province. Let me show you where Yunnan province is. Here is the map. This is the close-up of something called Binchuan County. You can see the red outline there. And this is Erhai Lake. This long, narrow lake is Erhai. And we remember when Master Empty Cloud brought the Buddhist canon, the Tripitaka, to Erhai. The dragons did things, they blew wind in and caused waves on the lake that nobody had ever seen before. This is the site of the city Dali. Dali is the largest city in the area. And people know the city of Kunming. It's a big city in the far southeastern capital of Yunnan. Yunnan by itself means south of the clouds, and it really has that kind of feeling of south of the clouds. Kunming is over here, down to the east. Let's take a look where we're talking about. Here's China, and Yunnan province is this. You can see right here, this whole big southwestern state, bordering Burma here, bordering Thailand and Vietnam here. So you can see this is where Master Empty Cloud has settled, and in the process, he has walked into Tibet. He's traveled down into Penang, Malaysia, right here, down in the far, far south. He's been to Singapore, he's been to Thailand, and now he's in Yunnan. When he got here, he discovered that Yunnan had, the Buddhism in Yunnan had gotten corrupt. That is to say, the monks had forgotten about cultivation. It was kind of hard to distinguish between the bandits, the monks, and the local government authorities. They were all kind of the same sort of indiscriminate people. And Buddhism had been forgotten. Monasteries were passed on from father to son or from power group to power group, and it was not a good situation. Master Empty Cloud vowed to restart the Buddhism in Yunnan, and he built a monastery, set the monastery up in accordance with the principles of the Sangha. He brought in the Tripitaka. He was able to attract a massive white jade Buddha, which hadn't arrived yet. It was too heavy to travel, too heavy to get across the roads. All the same, now that the monastery was set up on proper principles, he was able to attract 1,000 people to come and take the precepts and ordain as Sangha members, according to, as they say, 正法,如法,传戒, according to the Dharma, the way it was done traditionally. So more than that, he, after the precepts transmission, 2 weeks ago we read that, here we'll close this map out, we heard that Master Empty Cloud held a Chan session. And a Chan session, the way he did them, was again done completely according to the tradition. That's why Master Empty Cloud was known as the, they call him Zhongmen Taido, the North Star of the Chan school. He did things right. And Buddhism at this point had been in China for almost 2,000 years. And any institution that's been around that long kind of gets crusty, it gets stiff. And bad habits are easy to develop, especially when Yunnan is as far away from Shanghai and as far away from Beijing and as far away from Nanjing and Xi'an as it is. So here he is, out in the far wilds of southwestern China. He's got a Chan session going, and it lasts for 49 days, 7 sevens, 7 weeks of 7-day retreat. And so everybody gets a flavor of Chan. All right, so far so good, right? Things should be smooth sailing at this point. But not so, not the case. The reason being this date, 1911. And in China, in 1911, momentous occurrences put the entire country into turmoil, which is to say, the dynastic system with the emperor, the imperial system, came to an end after thousands and thousands of years. And the emperor, Henry Puyi, he abdicated. He stepped down. He said, that's it. I'm not going to be emperor anymore. Suddenly, in the vacuum, there is an opportunity for power-hungry individuals to arise, which is what happened. Warlords. And of course, civil war, because the warlords are all contending with each other for power. It was no exception in Yunnan province. So that's where we heard about this individual. Last time, the name Li Genyuan came up, and suddenly we found ourselves learning about General Li Genyuan. Here he is. You can see he's got very distinguished physiognomy. It's kind of a square appearance. He's very proper. He was trained in Japan. He got a scholarship to go to Japan's military school in the 30s, so 1911, so it was in the last of the 19th century. He was well-trained, well-educated, intellectually curious man with a big breadth of heart, and we now know that he had deep affinities with the Buddha that had not yet emerged. It was all a potential for him. He was, at this point, basically a warlord with the endorsement of the government. And it means he had more weapons, he had the right uniform, the right color, hat, and the emperor, the emperor was gone. It was the new Tongmeng Hui, the unified alliance that had created itself in Japan with Sun Yat-sen, Sun Zhongshan, the father of the country, the father of the republic, leading the way. They recognized that in Yunnan, lawlessness was the rule. Everything was falling apart. It was utter chaos. So the Tongmeng Hui and others sent Li Gunyuan to go out with the army to pacify, to calm things down, to bring security and stability. And what was one of the first targets of Li Gunyuan and his army? The Buddhist institution, which he identified as a major source of chaos needing to be pacified. Sure enough, he sent an army to surround Jizushan, where Master Empty Cloud was, and they started to burn temples, smash images, jail the monks, beat them, and in some cases kill the monks. Okay, that's where our story begins. That's the background for today's episode. And last week, I mentioned that we have two sources for our lectures. One is the picture biography that we just saw. This is 200 stories that Master Hsuan took from this document, which is called the Nianpu. It's the autobiography of Master Empty Cloud. And you can see he was famous for writing just the bare bones, just a few words for momentous events. And this was the case. So as we tell this story, we use both the Nianpu, the autobiography, and then from this text, the 200 selections that Master Hua extracted to fill out a space generally this big. That's one episode. Then Master Hua hired an artist to illustrate each story, and then he added a verse. So it's very terse, but we get the idea, we get the picture. And when there are details to fill in, we go back to the Nianpu, we go back to the source text. And last week I read the full details of this. So I want to run through quickly because there's something very interesting in this particular section of the Nianpu that I found that I want to present to everybody and let you make your own decisions about how you fill in the story. Okay, we're just going to read right through from 151, 152, 153, 154. We're going to go here, and then, well, actually, we'll do 155. This is the new material we didn't cover last week. And then I'm going to add the story that I want people to listen to, which sends a different light on things. So that's what we're about today. All right? So here's our story, and this is nice to have the Hanyu Pinyin, the romanization underneath the Chinese. So those of you who are brand new to Chinese characters, those of you who have seen them but were raised in an English-speaking household, those of you who speak Cantonese or Hokkien, we can improve our Mandarin today together. So let's do it. I learn something every single time I touch these texts. So let's go. Now, this is not the words of the Buddha. No need to put our palms together. But it is a story about our grand teacher. So we can listen with a heart of respect. Here we go. It's 1911. He is 72 years old. The title is Gunyuan, that's Li Gunyuan, the commander, Xie Tong Hui Fo Si, facing danger when Commander Gunyuan begins to destroy Buddhist monasteries. Okay? Xinhai Guming, Xuan Tong Xun Wei, Dao Chu Hui Si Chai Miao, 灭相竹僧颠生协同，李根源领导军队毁相差寺，杀僧屠尼，尤以功乃充和尚，竟能深得民心，群众拥护，岂非怪事？故知名补之。 或将不免为乎哉? Indeed. People are free to join if you'd like to with me. Watch the punctuation. Here we go. The Chinese Revolution started in 1911, and the last Manchu emperor, Shentong, abdicated the throne. Everywhere, monasteries and temples were laid waste, images were destroyed, and members of the Sangha were expelled. The Yunnan provincial commander, Li Gunyuan, led his infantry troops in the destruction of monasteries and statues, murdering bhikshus and butchering bhikshunis. That the master, a poor monk, could profoundly win the heart of the common multitude and be venerated and protected by them seemed very strange to Li. So the commander ordered his arrest. A catastrophe was imminent. This was dangerous indeed. So here are monks seeing the smoke rising from the monasteries over the mountain, appropriately alarmed, and how do they react? This is the crux of the poem. We know, I'll fill in a bit, we know that because of the autobiography, many of the monks fled. They just ran because they saw that they could wind up in jail, they could wind up beaten, they could wind up killed. And so the best thing was split. They urged Master Empty Cloud to do the same. His response, here we go. 诸事生逃公不然，如属业报何必焉？以身殉佛必求之，众乐成福愿患难。All the monks of the monasteries fled, but the master did not do so. How can you escape? How can you escape from your own karmic retribution? To sacrifice your body for the Buddha is a bhikshu's aspiration. People took delight in following him and willingly suffered hardships. Okay. So all of his disciples, fearing the worst, said, "Shifu, Shifu, time to go. Please leave." He went directly down to confront Li Gunyuan, fearless monk, wanting to put his life on the line to turn misfortune to auspiciousness. How did he do it? 树与化凶为己. Okay, story continues. Now this one, Shifu didn't add a verse here because it's a five-part story. So we've got a double Chinese section here and here. Okay, here we go. 协同率兵驻西坛寺，会金顶基足大王铜像，诸天佛殿，供给下山见，卫兵士弓，圈误入，速逃弓进入，见礼与赵藩坐，公至礼，礼怒曰：佛教何用？由何意？公曰：圣人设教，总宜济世利民，与其出击，为善去恶。Okay, so far so good. The provincial commander stationed his troops at Shitan Monastery. They proceeded to destroy the copper images of the great king on Golden Peak of Chickenfoot Mountain, as well as the Buddha Hall and other shrines. The master urgently descended the mountain, and guards who recognized him urged him to go no further, but to quickly flee while he still could. The master entered anyway and saw Commander Li with Zhao Fan and greeted them. Li wrathfully asked, "What good is Buddhism? What benefit does it give?" The master calmly answered, "The sage established the teachings to save the world and benefit the people by its primary principle, of exhorting them to do good and turn away from evil. Okay, use your imagination. You can visualize Li Gunyuan. He's a big man. He's got all the authority of a warlord. He's got the government behind him. So this is an authority. This is absolutely where the buck stops. And he's tough, and he's scary, and he's angry, and he's prejudiced about Buddhism. He's convinced in his ignorance, because he has no education in Buddhism, he's convinced that it is absolutely what's wrong with China, what's held China back. It's one of the Lao, it's one of the ancients that modern minds, educated in Japan, criticized and said China would be better off without it. Okay, so Master Empty Cloud is face to face with this level of prejudice, this level of bias. And he's, there is an image here. Here's they got him as fat. I don't think he was fat. I think he was probably very fit. But this is the typical warlord, right? From all the films, you've seen him, you know. It's got a mustache, you know. So. And here's Master Empty Cloud, who is, you could say, at a disadvantage here. He's a skinny monk in a broken robe, and all he has is his utter, brilliant virtue shining from his nature. So this is the debate. We set the debate. Here we go. Part 2 of episode 152. We ready? Here we go. 从古政教并行，正以其民，教义化民。佛教教人治心，心为万物之本，本得其正，万物得以宁，而天下太平。理四季，以手持佛像。Okay. This is the quote, his reply. Master Empty Cloud says, from ancient times, the government and the teachings have complemented each other in function. The former to set in order the masses, and the latter to transform them. This needs massaging, the translation. If we were to translate it again, it would be something like this. He said, here we go. Another way to say it. From the past, government and religion work hand in hand. Government gives people a sense of order, and religion works internally, transforms us. Okay, that's better. This is stiff still. Buddhism teaches people how to effectively govern their minds, which is the basis of the myriad things in the universe, the mind. If the foundation is set in order, then the myriad things of the universe will be at ease, and there will be peace under heaven. Okay, now, when Master Empty Cloud says it, it sounds like prophecy. It sounds like heaven itself is saying these words. At this, Li's fierce anger ebbed as he held out a hand to the Buddha image. It's not clear what he's doing with that hand, but what the text is trying to depict is a man's change of heart. At the same time, the emergence of his Foyuan, his Buddhist affinities. His wisdom is emerging face to face with what? With a true Kalyana Mitra, a true good and wise advisor. Face to face with a genuine sage, someone who has opened his mind to wisdom. Li himself is reflecting that light, and we're watching his transformation. Shifu's verse, he changed misfortune to auspiciousness. 化凶为吉义. So, okay? Next scene, the conversation continues. 骗言改恶向善. With a very few words, he changes evil to goodness. So, as these sprouts emerge, kind of in time-lapse photography, we're watching Li Gunyuan become a Buddhist. A remarkable transformation. Okay, here we go. Ready? 又曰：要者拟树木雕，作么功非钱财？公曰：佛言法相，相亦表法，不以相表，于法不彰。令人起敬慧之心耳。人心若无敬畏，无恶不作。祸乱已成，泥山速生，丁兰克木。中国祠堂，各国同向，无非令人心有所归。其敬心，共效不可思议。The commander further asked, we're back to Li, what use are the clay and wooden statues? Aren't they nothing but a waste of money? Typical kind of many non-religious or religious critics would say the same thing. Of what use is the crozier and the ring that everyone has to kiss, right? The master answers, the reply. The Buddha said that the marks of Dharma are just its symbols that we use to represent the Dharma. Without representation through appearances, the Dharma would not develop. Moreover, its expression brings about an attitude of reverence and awe, without which there are no evil deeds that people would not do, no good deeds that they would do. Calamity and chaos would result. Consider how the carved statues of the sage Confucius on Niqiu mountain exist, and how Dinglan sculpted a wooden image of his deceased parents. These images in the ancestral halls of China, as well as the copper ones from various other countries, serve as a place of reliance for the heart of people. They can foster an attitude of reverence. The effect of that is amazing. Okay, as we said last week, he is using a traditional debate technique known particularly in China, because there's 5,000 years of history to cite, but it's called diangu. You come up with a precedent, a historical precedent that you bring forward. Because there's reverence for the past, when you bring up the past to prove the present, people go, okay. Who does he quote? His precedents are images of Confucius and Dinglan, who is known as one of the 24 paragons of filiality. 24孝其中一位 Dinglan. There's Shifu adds his own commentary here. Dinglan was a famous filial son who lived in the Han Dynasty. His parents died when he was still too young to be filial. So when he grew up, he carved 2 wooden images of his parents, and he put them on the ancestral altar and he bowed to them. Morning and night, lit incense and bowed as if they were his actual parents. He missed his 2 parents. So Dinglan had a wife. She was really tired of his bowing to these wooden images. And so one day, just to kind of set off the pressure, demonstrate her skepticism, she took a needle and stuck it in the finger of one of the statues. And of course, the statue bled. Of course. When Dinglan came home, he saw that the wooden statues were now not only bleeding but also crying. So he asked his wife, found out what she had done, and promptly divorced her. Oh my goodness. Okay. Continuing with our episode. Here we go. 与其己子，若见诸相非相，即见如来，礼现月容，呼住茶点，请坐谈。So Master Empty Cloud goes on to say, talking about images, he says, now, if you take it up to the level of Buddhism, if you want to ask about these images, we don't want to attach to them. If you see that everything that has characteristics also exists beyond characteristics, Then you see the Buddha. Li, the warlord, was pleased and said, "Hey, that's pretty good. Let's continue. Bring some tea and cakes. I have more questions, right?" So look at the transformation. In one conversation, Li Gunyuan heart has now opened up. He's interested and he wants to know more. So he's now polite to the monk that prior, just minutes before, he thought was nothing but a symbol of decadence and superstition. All right, very cool. Shifu's comment is 改恶向善意. He changed evil to good. Okay, we're watching the transformation, and I suspect that Master Empty Cloud saw the potential. Face to face with Li Gunyuan, he said, here's a Buddhist. He doesn't know it yet. So, now, this only happened because he fearlessly put himself directly in front of a fierce warlord who was busy destroying temples, melting images back into metal, and killing monks. So the fearlessness, the courage of Master Empty Cloud, and his kindness in taking the effort. He could have just saved himself, but he wanted to save the commandant. Okay, 154. 领教肃令机理. Moving the commander's heart, he heard the teachings, stood up in respect, and bowed. Okay, the conversation continues. Here we go. 礼曰：昔如和尚不量和。公曰：僧有圣凡，不能见一二不孝而弃。岂因一二不孝修财？马孔子即先生统兵，虽君既严明，其意一一皆如先生之聪明正之乎？还不弃与下，所以为大者也。Li asked, "But if that's true, how come you have so many bad monks?" His answer, Master Empty Cloud says, the Sangha, in the autobiographies, the Sangha reflects society. That is to say, in society there are both sages and ordinary people. Don't look at one or two who are worthless, and then, because of them, discredit all the rest. You wouldn't revile Confucius because there are one or two despicable scholars now, would you? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You, sir, are a commander of soldiers, and although your military discipline is strict, your troops are individuals. Do you expect that all of them would be as intelligent and as forthright as you? He said. The ocean doesn't reject even tiny fish and shrimp, and therein lies its greatness. Good answer. Good answer. And he combines a little bit of flattery, not a lot, but a little bit. And the commander eats it right up, of course. So, this is skillful. This is skillful. What is Master Empty Cloud doing? He's saving Buddhism in Yunnan province. Okay. So now we get a poem. You see the picture? This is this is Commander Li standing up and bowing. Here we go. 佛法性海五不容，僧弘圣化用弥穷，协同领教肃然立，敬礼立正有屈躬。In the sea-like nature of the Buddha Dharma, nothing is excluded. The Sangha propagates the sage's teaching, and their function is infinite. As the provincial commander heard the teaching, he stood in reverence and awe. He respectfully bowed, rose, then bowed again. Okay. So, remarkable transformation. Remarkable. And our story gives the entire transformation in a number of verses. number of episodes. Okay, we have one more to finish the story. Are we ready? This is called 夜受教日自心, hearing the teachings at night, reflecting and changing the next day. Here we go. 流公晚斋秉烛坛，有因果分明，说到业王教之有业果因缘，说到世界相续，众生相续，言语长而理愈深，理师以文语皆公，实以容貌离公，足乃巍然太习曰：佛法广大如此，无以杀生毁寺，业重矣，奈何？ Commander Li invited the master to stay for a vegetarian dinner. They lit candles, continued their discussion through the night. Their talk included topics such as cause and effect and the intricate weaving of karma's net. They discussed karmic retribution and its causes and conditions, as well as the continuity of the world and living beings. The conversation was pleasant, the principles profound. Commander Li spoke warmly and courteously towards the master, and his manner reflected great reverence. At one point, Li heaved a deep sigh and said, "The scope of the Buddha Dharma is vast indeed. I have killed Sangha members, I've ruined monasteries. My karma is surely heavy. What can I do about it?" Okay, so what comes to my mind is conversations the Buddha had historically that we have in our knowledge of Shakyamuni Buddha. When he spoke, he converted Angulimala, who was this murdering demon who cut off the fingers of 1,000 people. The Buddha converted him and made him into a monk. Li Gunyuan was not going to be a monk, but he's not that far away, and his wish to, not only is he going to stop killing monks and burning monasteries, he's repenting. He understands the principles so quickly. It's the first time he hears the Dharma, instantly he goes, this is deeper truth. There it is. 公允风气时使然，极力保护公大焉。理公大悦为一教，通僧书使上殿参。The master said, "You followed the prevailing mores of the time, but if you devote your efforts to protect the Dharma, your merit will be great." Commander Li was very happy, and he accepted the teachings. Sharing a vegetarian meal with the monks, he joined their ceremonies. So you could say he became a Buddhist on the spot. Now, there's another part of the story before Li Gunyuan's is completely, we're done with him, but this is something I wanted to share with people because I found it very curious, very curious. Here we are with the autobiography, and this is where we get you could say the color to fill in the black and white of Master Empty Cloud's, of the stories that Shifu selected. Mind you, Master Empty Cloud's autobiographical writing is terse to the max. It's just a few words. And what does he say? He says, here, to give you an example of how terse it is, he says, here we are. 春传戒其后，结参期49日，提倡作香，结下安居，一切法师，至9月，武汉革命，传至田中，地方大乱，兵权县城被围，急召大祸，于调解之。又同兵官李根源因误会，排兵围鸡祖山，欲为解释，引兵去， 结归一三宝. That's it. That's all you get. He says, spring, after the ordination ceremony, a 7-week chan retreat of 49 days was held. Sitting meditation was encouraged. The summer rains retreat was observed, following all the prescribed monastic procedures. By September, news of the Wuhan Revolution reached Yunnan. The region fell into great disorder. The county seat of Binchuan, we saw that county, was besieged. A major catastrophe nearly occurred. I mediated the conflict. All right? That whole, just 5 episodes, 4 words. I mediated the conflict. Later, the military commander Li Gunyuan, due to a misunderstanding, sent troops to surround Jizu Mountain. I went to explain the situation, led the troops away, and he thereupon took refuge in the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. You have to read between the lines to get this incredible transformation. Okay, so now, in the Master's the editor of the autobiography says, in the Master's own dictated chronology, only these few words appear. The editor, however, has read the record of events in southern Yunnan. The account is given in far greater detail. Thus we can see that his great virtue and capacity was profound. The more detailed record is given separately below. Besides his efforts to spread the Dharma and benefit beings throughout Yunnan, the Master also averted several major disasters through invisible means. Through invisible means, meaning his own personal virtue, just the way he went about being a human, his style, the way he is. Okay, now this is the thing that I wanted to ask everybody about and see what you think, because we found this right here. It was apparently written by Master Empty Cloud, and yet it gives a different story. Take a look. Cliff, I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, to read. Can you see and read this? You'll go much quicker. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Let's stop there for now. We'll come back. Okay, take a look. I, Master Empty Cloud, was residing at Zhusheng Monastery on Mount Jizu. Among my attendants there was one named Chongfa, a man monk of utmost honesty. In the first year of the Republic, 1912, the military commander Li Gunyuan, led troops into Mount Jizu, destroying monasteries and driving out the monks. The monks living over the entire mountain were in peril of their lives. Only when Li saw Chongfa's bright and agreeable demeanor did he order him to guide them about the area and inquire in detail about the mountain's affairs. Chongfa earnestly pleaded on behalf of the wronged monks, and Li believed his words. Thus the entire mountain was spared from harm, and the monks all praised his virtue. Chongfa previously received, let's see, did you read that part?
Yeah, we read that part.
Okay. Chongfa had previously received ordination at Nanshan Monastery in Zhennan Prefecture, where the monastery owned several dozen acres of land that had been confiscated by officials. When Li learned of this, he ordered the county magistrate to restore the property and appointed Chongfa as abbot of Nanshan Monastery. Chongfa declined, insisting on remaining by my side to serve me. At that time, I was engaged in Buddhist Association affairs and often traveled to the provincial capital. Although, okay, we'll go to there. Okay, what do you get from this? What I get from it is Master Empty Cloud is giving the merit of transforming Li Gunyuan to a different monk. The monk's name is Chongfa Fa Shi, and we don't know anything about him before, but here he is, Chongfa. And it's Master Empty Cloud is saying he was the one who guided Li Gunyuan around, and as a result, saved Jizushan, Chickenfoot Mountain, and the monasteries and the monks. So, and this is appended. This is Fuji. So, which means it was added later, or found as a letter or an essay or a journal or something, and stuck into the autobiography. Interesting, huh? I don't know quite what to do with this in terms of, we have two accounts now. Okay, but there's more. There's more. And it's, Cliff, I'm going to ask you to read starting here.
时余为佛教会士至省奔走，重法复并随行，途中急剧竟不起，历3日，面容无声，于痛道之。涂皮归其
Yeah, go ahead, 你说。
涂皮归其骨于琼竹寺普通塔，呼呼数年，几望之矣。民6年，由缅甸运玉佛回基督山，途经金牛台时，有悍匪盘踞于此，四处掳掠。匪首张结把，杀人无厌，人皆不敢行。于此行，骡马数十，驮银票数十万，至此进退维谷。吾以冒险之阵，欲殿中，行李驮马西陈之门外，余乃静坐一榻，孤四之。忽见重法进门，眼如生时，搭衣展大具礼拜，语曰：“和尚无虑，弟子一路随侍左右，今晚匪不回矣。”余知其鬼也，随其长之曰：“汝死鬼，还来骗我！”豁然而醒，鬼亦随侍。是夜颇安匿，免于劫难。独怜重法，冥冥中犹依恋不舍，一掌之下，或顿醒乎？
Okay, let's do the last one here.
OK， 重法成敬2世者，年相若，并是英灵纳子，是愚之成，死而不渝。重法之利是利即是愚，为教务奔走之死，犹足为后贤风范，因附录于此。
Okay, here's more about this mysterious Chongfa, this monk. Okay, years passed. I nearly forgot. In the 6th year of the Republic, 1917, 6 years after our story, when I was transporting the Jade Buddha from Burma back to Jizushan, we passed through Jinniu Golden Ox Terrace. There, a band of violent bandits had entrenched themselves, plundering travelers. Their leader, Zhang the Stammerer, was a ruthless killer. No one dared travel that way. Yunnan province was wild. I had with me several dozen mules and horses carrying bank drafts worth hundreds of thousands of silver dollars, donations to rebuild Jizushan. Caught between danger and necessity, I risked entering the town and took lodging at an inn with all the baggage and animals left outside, all the money, and the Jade Buddha. I sat quietly on a couch, waiting. Suddenly, Chongfa, who had died, entered the door, appearing exactly as in life, wearing his robe and making full bows. He said to me, "Shifu, have no fear. Your disciple will wait by your side all along the way. Tonight the bandits will not return. Knowing he was a spirit, I quickly stood up and struck my palm, I guess, saying, "Ghost, you're still trying to fool me." Instantly I woke up. The apparition vanished. That night was indeed peaceful. We were spared from disaster. I could only feel pity for Chongfa, who even in the unseen realm still clung to me loyally. Perhaps that single palm strike woke him up at last. The attendants, Chongfa and Chengjing, were the same age, both bright and spirited monks. Their devotion to me in life, their loyalty even in death, never wavered. Chongfa, who served despite grave illness and died in the course of Buddhist work, especially stands as an example for future generations. Hence, I record this here. Okay? There we are. So, what do you all make of that? This is so interesting. It's, we have, so one thing for sure is that Master Shenhua, in picking stories to include in the picture biography, had to choose among the details to include, and he had no room to do all of it. And so he, his story conveyed the principle of a virtuous monk quelling the heart and waking up someone who was motivated by motivated by stereotypes, motivated by other people's ignorance about Buddhism, but who personally had had no encounter with it. But when he met an actual Buddhist, someone whose mind, whose heart was filled with compassion, such as Master Empty Cloud, and whose wisdom was in every word, he not only purged his hatred, he turned him into a believer. And he awoke Li Gunyuan's innate potential for wisdom. So that's the story that Shifu picked to include. And yet we still have this historic account, which it's possible that somebody put that into the biography, the autobiography, irresponsibly, potentially. We don't know who edited it, whose hands were on the autobiography between Master Empty Cloud writing it and our reading it. But anyway, mysterious and quite wonderful. So will be continued next week. More stories of Master Empty Cloud's life of miracles and virtue and compassion, saving Sichuan from disaster and saving the Buddha Dharma from destruction. Should we dedicate merit? May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. finish, a chance to bow to not just lorikeets on the feeder, but also Guanyin Bodhisattva. Here we go. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. See you all next week. Ami Tofu, everyone.